To create an estimate for a customer, we're first going to find their job, going into the View Job section. We can search for it or scroll through the list. We can either click the View Job button or double click on the line. Then, within the job dashboard, we're going to click on the Documents section, which is going to house all your estimates, your worksheets, and your measurements. The worksheet section is just like your scrap paper, where you're going to build the estimate and be able to review your profitability, your markup, and everything like that. First, give your worksheet a name, and then click into it to start editing it. There's 3 distinct ways to create a new estimate within JobExact. The first is to add every single item one by one from your item catalog. This can be slow and time consuming, but it is good for estimates which are not unique to your company or maybe one-off estimates. If you're unhappy with a line item, you can simply check it or click the top box to check all and hit delete. The second way to create an estimate is to click on the Item Catalog button, and here we'll give you a list of all the items currently in your item catalog. You can go through this and simply check the ones you would like to apply to add to your estimate. The third way, and the most efficient way to create an estimate for all the standard jobs that you're used to doing all the time, is to use a macro or a pre-built template that you've got stored in the system. Click on the macro button, and here you'll see a list of templates available for the type of work you're doing. We're going to click our shingle template, and we're going to apply it. This is going to populate a list of all of the items that we've predetermined we want in our roofing estimate. You're going to see this one item here that's got a warning. This is a system check to let you know that there's a problem with this formula when you create it, just so it doesn't go unnoticed and you end up with a problem. In this case, we aren't going to use ridge venting, so we can just delete it. Otherwise, you can go in here and change your formula. Now that we've got our list of all the items that we want for our estimate, we can go through and we can manually change them one at a time to give us our estimate, or once again, for an even faster way, we can create a measurement and go and apply the two together. Go back into the document section and we're going to add a measurement. Here we've got a pre-selected measurement form that we've put in all the measurements we like to collect from a job. Simply go through and enter all the details for the job as you've measured it on site. When you're done entering all your measurements, hit the Submit button. This has now created a measurement of the house that you can save. You're able to add as many measurements as you want into this section. Now we're going to go back into our worksheet where we still have all of our templated items saved, and rather than having to enter all of our quantities one by one, we can simply go select the measurement that we just entered and apply it to our macro, and that's going to automatically populate all of the items for our roofing estimate. Now that we have our estimate completed, we've got a couple other things we can discuss on the estimate page. In the settings, you've got options to show all the different categories so you can customize the view as you like to see it. We also have an option to round up all your quantities, and we can also show the tax columns. Assuming that this customer may have wanted an estimate for something else, we can also add tiers to our estimate. When we add a tier, the very first tier is going to be the items we already have in the system. So we'll call that shingle roofing. You can also add a long description informing the customer exactly what this estimate is for. We can then continue to add more tiers further on. Let's say this customer also wanted an estimate for eaves troughing. Since we don't have a macro built for eaves troughing, we can simply add it through the item catalog. You'll see the menu button is now down on the tier selection menu, indicating you're just dealing with this tier alone. We're going to open our item catalog. If we do a search, it'll search for our subcategory, and we can add all of these items directly. This is going to populate our estimate for eaves troughing, which, since we don't have a macro, we'll do the old-fashioned way. Now that we've finished entering our estimate for eaves troughing, you can see it's given us a total here for this tier, as well as a shingle total up above. You'll also be able to see at the very bottom, it's given you your totals for the entire worksheet, including all of your materials, what you're selling them for, your cost and your estimated profit, as well as all your labor, and then the total for everything. You can also collapse your tiers while you're working on this, just to make it easier to view. JobExact also gives you the option of doing sub-tiers within tiers, so you can further break down your estimate. Simply go to the tier menu and add sub-tier. You're also to add measurements and macros within all your tiers as well. JobExact has a unique feature allowing you to compare prices once you've created an estimate. You may have different suppliers for the same item, and if you want to see which is going to give you the best price to complete this job, simply go up to the top and hit the Compare Prices button. Here, you're going to see a list of all the different suppliers, along with the different prices they offer for the products. All of the items in red are not available from a particular supplier. Here you can pick the lowest supplier, or you can pick the lowest individual supplier for each line item. Because we've imported a template which has a variety of items which may not apply to every job, you can click the Review Zero Value button, and it's going to give you a list of all the items within your template that have no quantity. This is a good way to go and check and make sure nothing was missed on the job or no measurement was missed and that you've actually accurately estimated this project. We'll quickly look at all the columns within the job worksheet. The first is self-explanatory, it's the name of the item. The second is the category, whether it's material, labor, or miscellaneous. The quantity is the item quantity that you're selling to the customer. The fixed sale price is going to be a hard-coded price that you typically sell this item for that's built into the software. The buying cost, which is the price you're typically going to pay from a supplier. The markup, that if you want to sell this product for a cost times markup. Your pricing model, whether you want to sell for the selling price that you've got in the system, or you can change to a cost times markup model, which is going to take your buying cost times your selected markup to give you your final selling price to the customer. The selling price to the customer, including the price times the quantity. The tax you're planning on charging to the customer. The Assign To button, this is where you're planning on purchasing the material from. And you can also add any notes for any particular line item at the same time. Here we have the ability to change our supplier to different suppliers. When we click on this, any suppliers with a red triangle do not have a price in the system for this item, or they don't typically supply it. Before we convert this to a proposal, we can assign all of these different items to a particular supplier or subcontractor if we know who we're going to use, or we can leave them to be assigned later. Once you're happy, go to the top left and convert this item to a proposal. Here you're going to get a warning telling you you've got 0 line items in there. You can either choose to remove those line items or leave them in the proposal as a line item with 0 quantity. Give your proposal a name and hit submit. You'll see that it's now locked your worksheet because you've got a proposal attached to it, so it won't let you make any changes. Go into your proposal, and now you can view how you want it to look. You'll see because we removed all the 0 line items, we've got a lot less items in our proposal now. We can use the setting button to adjust how we want our proposal to look. We can show the amounts, we can show the quantities, or we can hide the table completely and just show the totals. We can have tier totals and taxes visible, and with this button we can allow for a customer to accept multiple tiers when they go to accept their job. If we turn this off, it's good for a good, better, best scenario where you want your customer to only be able to select one of the tiers. Once we're happy with how our proposal looks, we can scroll down at the bottom. We can add any discounts we want for the customer, write any comments in that'll show to the customer regarding this estimate, and we're also able to upload files to attach this estimate. When a file gets uploaded into the proposal, it's also going to attach into the job files in your job dashboard. We can do a print preview, which is going to show you the PDF view of your estimate. And then once we're happy, we can either sign on the spot if you happen to have an iPad or a computer at the customer's home, or you can send to the customer. This is going to allow you to send an email to the customer with their proposal that they can view online. If you have a general customer or an insurance adjuster, this will also give you the option to select who you want to send it to. When a customer receives their proposal via email, they'll have the PDF attached. As well, they'll be able to click on the View Proposal button that's going to open a digital copy of the proposal. From here, they're going to be able to review it, see the image that was attached. They'll be able to digitally sign it, and as we mentioned, we allowed them to select multiple items to determine what they want to pick. You'll see that the subtotal for the quote changes depending on which items they've selected. Once they've signed it, they can either accept it, decline it, or request changes. Now that the customer is digitally signed, now when we go back into Job Exact and look for this job, look in the document section, you can see that this proposal is showing up as an accepted proposal. Also, when we go into our notification settings, you'll be able to see that the customer has viewed the estimate and also that the customer has accepted the estimate.